welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be working on the Evo, getting it back up and running. We do have something new we're going to be adding to the Evo to help the tuner read the car a little bit better. We've got a Kiggly Racing system that we're going to be putting on basically. I'm going to go ahead and unbox it real quick. So, we've got the wiring harness right here that we're going to be using to set it up with. All the stuff that is needed to use it. They even come with zip ties, which is killer because those are hard to find here. And this is going to be the new 12-tooth, that's sharp, setup. Right now it has a 2-tooth setup, so the 12-tooth really just makes it easier for the tuner to read everything and get everything more precise. I think there's something else under it. Yeah, there's a whole thing. So this is, again, the Kiggly Racing 12-tooth crank trigger sensor setup that we're going to be adding to the Evo so the tuner can get a better read on everything. So what happened this time hopefully doesn't happen again. Maybe. We'll see. So we're going to go ahead and get this started, and we'll be back in just a sec. Alrighty guys, so we've got the Evo up on the lift already. We are basically going to be taking this off right here. And it's just 2 bolts. You got one here and one here, or 3 bolts, I'm sorry. 2 here and 1 here. And we're gonna be able to take off the upper mount that's up here somewhere in that area. And then we'll kind of just tilt the motor down just a little bit so we can get access to all the timing stuff we need to take off to put in that sensor that I was telling you about. So to get to this bolt here on the idler pulley, we have to kind of drop the motor and just make it tilt just a little bit. So that is what we're about to do now. So you'll see us doing that real quick, and then we'll get everything back on. Oh, that's so slow. All right, and that's where we get access. Why are you missing a bolt?
What?
You're missing a bolt.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll put one in later. We won't tell no one.
So guys, we took the wheel off, and now when the motor is dropped just a little bit, we have enough to show all the timing stuff that we need here. So we're gonna go ahead and start by taking the timing belt off, the belt off, and then we're gonna take off the idler pulley, and then we're gonna switch over and we're gonna start taking off all the things we need to so we can put on that new sensor and put on the new tooth. Now we're going to take off the pulley, which I find that this is the easiest way to get to it, is the curved wrench. So I'm going to go ahead and get that now. Very difficult to get up in there, but you have to hold the pulley at the same time and pry it off. And once you loosen it, I'll try and get one more on that before I try and get it. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Should be able to just. I don't think it's loose enough.
You might go the other way.
And you basically have a little bolt. One. Alright, one down. Ready to go. So we got the pulley off that was up top. You can see all the pulleys that we've taken off so far down here. Now we are going to be taking off this plate, which is the new one that we got, this OEM one that we had gotten from Mitsubishi. So we're just gonna take off all those. And I didn't break it.
Washer, what's up there? Grab that. Should might slide that plate off if you can. If you can't, then we gotta take off the tension. Alright, so 12 mils.
Okay.
So 12, 12. The tension should come off. Actually, we're gonna try and take this off first. I'll take this.
Tension shouldn't get in there.
No.
Alright guys, so this was the 2-tooth trigger system thing that we're taking off. This is the 12-tooth one that we are putting on. It is actually very sharp, believe it or not. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on now. It looks pretty clean, minus my hands. So this should essentially just go right on. Just like that. Boom, super shiny. Goes on pretty nice. Now we start building everything back on. The Kiggly Racing bracket that we have here is gonna go right up into the left of the new tooth trigger system that we set up. It's gonna go right here. We're taking out these 2 OEM bolts, taking them out, and then we're putting in the ones that they supplied in the kit. One's an Allen key and one is just a regular. So we're gonna take those out, put these in. We're just gonna leave this in because it's not really in the way. So I'm gonna let you hold that. That's light as hell. Out with the old and in with the new. Alright guys, so right now we put the bracket in here and then we are putting in an OEM cam sensor for an Evo. It's essentially going to be substituting this crank sensor that we are taking out. So we're taking out the crank sensor and we're putting another cam sensor in here, and then we're gonna tighten it down and see if we have to put any spacers in here, because there has to be a specific air gap that Kiggly recommends right here between the tooth and the bottom of this sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on and tighten it down and see if we need to put any spacers on it first. So let's go ahead and do that real quick and we'll see what we need to do. I have a feeling we're gonna need a spacer or 2. All right guys, as you can see, we've got the second OEM cam sensor in and it's basically, I look like it's almost touching the tooth. We're gonna test it and see what the air gap is with the feeler gauge here that we have. Kiggly recommends a 0.25 to 0.025 to 0.035. So we went ahead and did it right in the middle of 0.030. We're gonna go ahead and see if that fits in there or not. I don't think it's going to. Let's see. No, won't even go in. So yeah, we're gonna have to take this back out and we're gonna put a couple spacers that Kiggly sends you. Here they sent you a bunch of 0.2 millimeter spacers. The little shims, they're super tiny, little washer type spacers. So we're gonna go ahead and put some of those on and see what we can do with that. So let's do that real quick. All right, so I've got the sensor loosened again. Go ahead and pull it out. And I'm gonna bring it down here because it's gonna be a lot easier to put on the spacers here, little shims, whatever you call them. And we're gonna see if we can get away with these first. Try not to drop them as I put them in. Eventually it's going to get tight. Now we're gonna check it with the feeler gauge again and see if we can get it in there. Which, perfect. Goes in and comes out. I can still feel it, so it's not like super loose, but it's also not getting stuck. So it's perfect. And that has 3 of the shims on it, believe it or not. And the shims, again, are the Kiggly Racing ones. They're 0.2 millimeter thick shims. We put 3 of them on there, and they give you 4. So super flimsy, but it's in there. So that is the next step, and we are going to be taking this crank sensor completely out. So that's coming out, and that is going to be replacing that essentially. Performing the same thing really, but replacing it. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright guys, so the next step is putting in the harness that they give you for the new triggers system thing. So basically we're going to go ahead and just put it in. It's a plug and play, which is nice. You don't really have to do much. They give you everything you really need. They even give you zip ties to keep the wire out of the way from the serpentine belt, which is nice. So, I think it goes this way. Alright, and then there's a notch that's already built in right here. You just kind of push the wires in gently, and then we're gonna just kind of work this up somehow, up, because we'll grab it from the top when we lower the car. Like I said, it's just a simple plug and play, so it should just go right in. So I don't know if you guys can see this little notch right here. There's a small notch on this tooth. That notch has to line up with this right here, which we'll do when we time the motor. We can't do that yet because we don't have the head back from when we melted that ground on this spark plug. What the fuck? So there you go, guys. We've got it all done. We will time it again once we get the head back. Right now we can't time it, but it is good, and the air gap is perfect. You're gonna try and move it so you can see the timing. Alright. So we're gonna move it so you can see where the notch is supposed to be. Can you see the notch? So essentially that's where the notch needs to be for when we do time the motor. It's very small and insignificant, but it matters, obviously. Alright guys, so now we are going to be removing the larger leg from the 2-tooth cam sensor tone wheel, which is actually quite a lot in my opinion. That's a lot we're removing. So we're just going to use a cutoff wheel and a vise grip. That's what we got, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm not very good at using a cutoff wheel, so I'm going to let Brad do this one. So I'm just going to record. Here you go. Good luck. Doesn't really tell you how to remove it either. It just says remove. Which is kind of funny.
Dude, you don't have to.
Right, so it is all cut off and done, and now we're just going to take a file to it and kind of clean up the edges and make it nice and pretty. Alright guys, so we've got it and we took the tooth off. Did a little filing to make it nice and clean on the edge. So now it's nice and good. So we're going to go ahead and get this on, and we're good to go. Now it's a 1 tooth. Good to go. Alright, so we're taking off this right here, and underneath it is where we're going to be installing the new 1 tooth doodad. I was told to match where the small tooth is, which if you can see, the small tooth is right here. It's kind of hard to see, it's a little dark hole right there. Oh, there you go. So I gotta match where the small tooth is right there, but first I gotta take that bolt out. Alright. Damn!
I'll put that back on there.
It's here. And just like that, the new tooth is in. It is a 1 tooth dude right there. No tooth. Where's the old one? Oh, here it is. So we took this one out and put the 1 tooth in on this, and once we get the head back, we'll be able to put everything back on, and we can put this back on now. Slide it in. I don't do well with these Allens. All right, boom, done. As far as the ECU goes, you are gonna have to go in there and change your settings. It has the V2, it has the V1 on this side, and it has Haltech on this side. We have the Infinity, which is super easy to go into Wizards and just modify it in there when you change it. You're gonna wanna change it to a 12-tooth crank Hall system setup, and then a 1-tooth cam Hall setup. Am I saying that right?
Hall sensor.
Hall sensor setup, whatever. So yeah, 12-tooth crank and a 1-tooth cam is what you want to change it to. And then once you guys change that to, you'll be able to figure out what the cylinders and the pistons, everything's doing more to the T, I guess, is what your goal is. But we can't put any of the timing stuff on that's on the ground over here on yet until we get the head back. Which we are waiting for Real Street to ship a couple parts to the guy who is building the head, or really just decking it for the most part. So we're just waiting on a couple of those parts. Once we get that back, we'll be able to get it back up and running, hopefully. I don't think I'm missing anything. So guys, make sure you stay tuned for the next video, and thanks for tuning in.